4 ways to stop caring what other people think. This is a big topic, and certainly one that I can relate to, and I'm sure you can relate to it as well. And this is a topic that I actually had to figure out pretty early in my life when, in my leadership journey. I believe that leadership, you can actually start teaching these skills to kids, and this was certainly one of those tools that I had to learn pretty early on. And so if you've seen my TED Talk, How Great Leaders Drive Communication, Performance, and Engagement, you would have heard me talk about my story. In grade 8, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. I was told by a clinical psychologist that I'd be lucky to finish high school. It was devastating. I'm the youngest of 3 children. My siblings are gifted, and along I come with this learning disability. And I mean, when I'm talking about disability, I'm talking around like a very severe learning disability. My very first exam in high school, I got 37%. And so I was in that state for a long time where I was constantly comparing myself to everybody else. I was comparing myself to my siblings. I'm comparing myself to my friends. I'm comparing myself to other people in my class. And what I had to figure out, and this was a huge piece in my own journey with this topic, is I had to stop caring. This is tip number 1, everybody. I had to stop looking to my right and to my left. Stop focusing on comparing everybody else to myself to everybody else, because why? I can't control it. The more that I'm focusing over here and the more that I'm focusing over here, I can't control if my siblings get straight A's. I can't control if somebody else is going to do better. I can't control it. And so the problem is when we focus on other people and we're constantly comparing, we feel complete lack of control. We're always going to be putting probably yourself down, and we're probably going to have a lot of anxiety. Okay, and so tip number 1 is just don't do it. Stop doing it. Stop focusing on other people because we cannot control it. And instead put the focus on ourselves because we can control us. We can't control anybody else. And so that was my first big aha moment. And by this point I was in about grade 10 when I had this realization that I needed to stop comparing myself to everybody. It was not serving me. It was, in fact, it was actually doing the exact opposite. It was actually harming me. So that was number 1. Number 2, tip number 2. The other reason, not other than the fact that we just feel really crappy when we actually do it, the other reason, tip 2, is that it's super distracting. So if you have a goal, and I hope you have lots of goals, and at that time in high school, I started having goals. I had goals around doing well in school. I had goals to go to university. I had goals, dream to maybe get my doctorate in counseling or psychology or something. And if you know my story, you know that was kind of eventually my path. So, but I started having these goals, and one of the things that was really interesting is the more that I was looking to the right and looking to the left, I'm losing focus, I'm losing time, and it's distracting. And so this is a second tip around why we should stop caring what other people think, is that it's really distracting. We have only so much time and energy to invest into the goals and the dreams that we have. So if we're constantly going like this, we're not doing this. We're not kind of focusing in on. And so it's really important we've got to kind of set boundaries for ourselves around actually staying focused on our goals. So that's like tip number 2. The third tip, and this is really important, is there's only one person that you should be comparing yourself to. Do you know who that person is? Yes, it's you. You compare yourself to yourself. So it's good to set benchmarks. It's good to set goals. It's good to stretch yourself. It's even good to compare yourself to yourself. So when I was getting low 60s in my math class, in my science class, math actually was the only subject that I actually did quite well and just naturally. But science, for whatever reason, I struggled with science. Math was easy, science was difficult. And so when I'm getting my low 60s in my grade 9 science class, my goal was to get to 70%. I set a stretching but realistic goal. I had to stop comparing myself to all the other smarty pants that were actually in my class and just focus on myself. And so my first goal, I'm 63%. My goal is to get to 70. That's what I've got to stay focused on, my actual goal. When I hit 70, my goal is now to get to 75. And I'm at 75, my goal is to get to 80. and you set these small, realistic goals. And so, so you want to, yes, you want to focus on improving your best. So whether or not that's public speaking, whether or not that is your profit in your business, whether or not that is your exercise goal, whether or not that is your relationship with your spouse, whatever that goal is, you want to focus on, am I improving? Am I actually improving my personal best? Because we want to be having that growth mindset and actually improving. But we're kind of keeping ourselves focused on our own growth and not necessarily on everybody else. And the fourth tip, which is actually really important, and I think it often gets overlooked when we're talking about personal development and achieving goals both professionally and personally, is you got to find your tribe. Find people in your life, really kind of do an audit for yourself. Look at the people you're investing into. Who are you hanging out with? Your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers? Who is kind of your inner circle? And ask yourself, are these people that are really encouraging you towards these goals that you actually have, or are they discouraging you? When I think about the ideal team, or sorry, the ideal tribe member, as I call it, the ideal inner circle, it's somebody that can encourage us and champion us and cheer for us as we're going after these different professional and personal goals. They're also somebody that will challenge us and give us feedback, but it's done in a way that is really guided, hopefully, to help us improve. The goal is not to hurt us. The goal is to help us be our best version of ourselves. And so as we are stopping to care what other people think, we're keeping ourselves focused on what are the things that I want to do in my life, what are the goals professionally and personally that I want to charge after, and we stay focused and we try to really work on improving our very best. Then also look at the circle, your circle, the people around you. Are they encouraging and championing you and giving you constructive feedback to help you be your very best version of yourself? So those are the 4 tips, everybody. Learn them, think about it, and now apply them.